Welcome to this tutorial on how to patch a hole in a pair of men's jeans. This is quite a large hole and it's on the leg, so around about the knee area. The first thing that you want to do is to prepare the hole by cutting away the threads using a pair of embroidery scissors and being careful not to make the hole too big. You can choose to cut away enough of the hole to create a distinctive shape. This hole itself has a distinctive shape already, so all I'm doing here is trimming away the white threads and tidying up the edge of the hole. My reason for taking the threads away is to create a nice neat edge for me to overstitch onto to bind the hole so that it doesn't get any bigger. Next, I'll take my embroidery threads. You can use a strong mercerized cotton thread, embroidery threads, or if you have sashiko threads, you can use those as well. You want to take yourself a length of thread that is not really any longer than the width between your two elbows. Otherwise it becomes too long and you'll get yourself in a tangled mess. I'm using 4 strands of embroidery thread here. They were already prepared and they had a knot in one end. And what you're doing is you're going to go from the inside to the outside and you're going to overstitch around the edge of the hole. You can roll the fabric a little so that it folds onto the inside. So all I'm doing here is I'm overstitching the edge of the hole. I've just pricked myself with the needle. This is a hazard of any sewing project. No handmade project is complete without a little bit of blood. So you're just going to continue going around the outside edge of the hole that you've got in your project, remembering to go over the edge, so that's up through from the underside and round the outside and back up under. Now the reason we bind the edge like this is so that the hole doesn't expand or tear any larger than it already is. It is okay to use several different lengths of thread to do this. It's better to have shorter threads and to rejoin a new thread every so often than to just use a very long piece. If you have a long piece of thread, you will get knots as you pull through. So here I've measured out the denim patch that I am pinning to the inside of the jeans. Now you want your patch to be wider and longer than the hole because you're actually going to be going past the outside edges of the hole that's in the jeans. So I pin on the 4 corners on the inside and then I turn it through. And then I'm just going to pin down around the edge of the outside of the hole to hold down the edges of the hole. The reason for this is because they do lift a little bit. And then you take a tailor's chalk and I'm drawing the straight edges of the size of the patch. This is so that on the front of the work I can see how large my patch is. So I'm tracing the edge of the patch onto the front of the jeans. Use a tailor's chalk or a fabric pen that you'll be able to see quite clearly. If you are going to use a fabric pen, I recommend not using the air erasable ones because that will fade before you've had a chance to secure the edges of the patch. I use a running stitch to go around the outside of the patch to hold it in place. Running stitch is a very easy stitch to use on projects like this when you're trying to do visible mending. You can load up a lot of stitches onto your needle and it does reduce the time. However, it is a slow fashion and a slow mend. So what I'm doing here is I've come to the end of my thread, so I'm just securing a knot on the inside of the jeans. There's several ways to do this. This particular knotted method, I just went under an existing loop and then thread the needle through the loops before pulling it tight. One of the other ways I like to do my threads is to use a no knot method. So as I'm using 4 strands of embroidery thread here, what I've done this particular time was actually only taken 2 strands of thread, folded those threads in half to create a loop at one end. The loop at one end then becomes your securing knot on your first stitch. So you insert your needle, create your first stitch, and then poke the needle through the loop, and as you pull it tight, it secures the thread to the fabric. Continue to go in running stitches across the patch in one direction. Now if you're new to securing threads and patches to any garment like this, what you can do, if you're worried about not having straight rows of running stitches, draw yourself some straight lines about a ½ centimetre apart across the entire size of your patch. Okay, see I went through the loop there, and I've gone over the loop and back in through the loop again to secure my knot. That's only one method of securing a knot at the end of your thread once you've come to the end. Don't leave yourself too short an end, otherwise you'll find it very difficult to secure the knot. So here I'm using the loop method, the no knot method. So I've got a loop at one end of my doubled up strands, and I pull the thread through the loop and then pull it tight. That's not going to go anywhere. Now I've made quite a lot of progress on this patch now. You can see there's quite a lot of rows of running stitch. So I'm now coming to the top end of the patch, and I just continued in running stitches, loading my needle up and then sliding the fabric across the needle and onto the thread rather than trying to yank the needle through the fabric. Denim is very strong, so it's better to push your fabric onto the needle and onto the thread. So here is another method for securing a knot. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your needle in about halfway, take your thread and wind it around the tip of the needle 3 times, hold the twist and then pull the needle through the twists. That's a nice quick way of making a knot. Usually only works when you've left yourself a long enough thread to be able to create a knot with. So another thread attached. You can see I've got a thimble as well. The thimble helps to push the needle through the fabric and saves your fingertips from getting calluses and holes in the tip as you try and push the needle through. I find working on legs quite fiddly because you have to turn the leg round and work it, hold it on the inside. So it can be quite a long project. Now when you've gone in one direction, in the vertical direction or the horizontal direction, you then want to do another series of rows of running stitch in the opposite direction. So you'll end up with vertical stripes of running stitch and horizontal stripes of running stitch. And you just keep going until that patch is fully secured. I chose not to have nice straight rows of running stitches. This is because it's a pair of work jeans and I felt that there was no need to be perfect. I also like the organic feel to having slightly wobbly running stitches. If you've enjoyed this video, there are others on our YouTube channel, so feel free to press the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notified when you receive a new video. You can also join us on Patreon, where we have regular craft and chat sessions with our subscribers. We also do monthly workshops and special offers, pre-releases of patterns and early releases of a lot of our videos. Workshop videos are exclusive to Tier 2 patrons and above. There's the finished patch. Thank you for joining us and I'll see you soon.